here on the Pacific Coast, and again, 40 miles west of Los Angeles. However, by saying 40 miles west of Los Angeles, almost all of the cities in the area felt it.
Yeah.
It was widespread as far as feeling 4.5 quake.
And that's typical for most quakes that we experience here.
So with that, we're just going to kind of ask while we're sitting here on the air if we want to continue coverage. Okay, so we are going to continue here, and we can just tell you we have more tips to share.
Yeah, we can take a look at some more information that you might want to jot down. Just these are things to keep in mind after an earthquake, perhaps a major earthquake, not one of this size. We're still getting more information, so we don't know if there is any damage out there. But in the case of a major earthquake, you would want to do some of these things as you can see there, inspecting your home for damage, making sure that everyone is safe, helping your neighbors out, watching out for power lines. Again, these are all obvious things you want to do, but things to keep in mind, for when a stronger quake does happen.
Let's go to Dr. Lucy Jones. She is actually talking to ABC News, and we're going to eavesdrop on this and listen in. Okay, the signal just went away, but clearly Dr. Jones has given us many an update on this. There she is. Let's listen in again.
Yep.
The state of Wisconsin, meantime, saw its first tornado ever.
That was
in
the end of her statement.
Yes.
But to some of the points that we've been talking about here about the frequency of these earthquakes, recently Florida had a 4.0 earthquake, and for them, they were quite rattled by what happened.
They don't typically get earthquakes.
And for us, many people probably just went right about the rest of their business. So this happened at about 1:49 today. And the epicenter was generally West LA, and a lot of people felt it.
Yeah, and sometimes when you're driving in your car or you're walking or you're doing something active, you don't even feel it. You don't even know it actually happened. So as many, as we're hearing from many people who did feel it, there are probably a lot more who also did not feel it.
And you and I, and people will experience it differently as well. Now, you see on this right here, it says magnitude 4.6. That's been kind of readjusted to 4.5. And again, there was an aftershock of 3.0. But many people will experience the same thing differently. I was standing in the hallway, heard it more than felt it. You were sitting and you felt it. But for both of us, it was quick. It ended very quickly, and we felt, okay, let's get out here. Same with Scott Rife. Most everybody in the building felt something. However, you walk through the same newsroom, and there were people who didn't feel it at all.
That's right.
So,
But a lot of people were standing up and talking about it. Wait, was that it? How was it for you? They're all comparing notes. So it's an interesting sort of experience for everyone and very individual.
And I'm looking at the time of these earthquakes here that we're looking at, magnitude 2.7 and 4.6. That was 1:47. So I'm not quite certain what that information is that is happening there, but we are getting another update here as we speak. Let's see real quick. Other cities that felt it: Huntington Beach, Rancho Cucamonga, Camarillo, and Baldwin Hills. And when you think of those four cities that we mentioned, of people calling in the newsroom, hearing it, think about how wide-ranging that is. From Huntington Beach to Rancho Cucamonga, all the way up to Camarillo, and then to Baldwin Hills.
Right.
I mean,
which
and
is
then
closer in.
But and then of course Scott Rife was reporting here. There have been a number of cities that have called in, and viewers have said that they have felt it.
That's right. And if you don't have this already, be sure to download the MyShake app. It delivers earthquake alerts across California. You can see if there's any damage and shaking reports submitted by other community members. It's helpful to have, as well as other information from the USGS and other global earthquake authorities. Typically, warnings only go out for magnitude 4.5 or higher earthquakes to users in areas of light to severe shaking. The app is free to download. Because today's quake was 4.5, I didn't get an alert. I don't know if anyone else here got one.
I did not, and I don't know. Again, we're here in Southern California, and we somewhat are kind of immune to it, but we're not immune to it. We all have different feelings than people elsewhere who might be
more used to it,
experiencing.
yes.
But a 4.5 earthquake, what we experienced today, didn't seem like that much. But again, you're worried that you're on the outskirts of it, that you might not be the epicenter, and if you're feeling it hundreds of miles away, then that could be a major
could be
deal.
Damage somewhere.
Yeah, but today we do not at this point have any reports of damage. Getting another update here: Culver City, Rosemead, Studio City, Tahunga. Again, with these cities that are reporting, viewers calling in saying they felt it, I mean, at some point it's everybody. This is, when you're talking about near, right around West LA for the epicenter of it is what I'm hearing, that it's going to be everybody that feels it.
And we have someone, a resident of Malibu, Ryan Lippert, on the line with us. Ryan, can you hear me okay? What was your experience?
Well, it kind of slow rolled into it, and then there was a big bang crescendo, and it just kept going. It lasted a wee bit.
Did you have any damage or anything knocked off shelves?
The shelves, a couple things came off the shelves, and everything moved, that's for sure. Every picture's crooked. But I just inspected the building, and everything seems to be okay. Just some of the rocks came down the hill, a couple big boulders.
Where are you in Malibu?
We're on Carbon Beach on the land side.
Okay.
Well, it's one of those things, my wife is a native, and she always feels like the rain and everything that we just had, she connects the dots. Now, I'm not saying there are, but, when you have that kind of weather and events with mudslides and things, when you hear it in Malibu and all of a sudden you have a few rocks come down, that's got to be a little bit uneasy as well.
Oh, yeah. Well, par for the course. The rest of the time it's it's beautiful.
Oh, for sure. Definitely worth living there. I'd love to trade places with you.
Little excitement never hurt anybody. It's just Mother Nature talking.
Yes, but it's interesting that you say that it was kind of a slow roll into a big crescendo and then that it felt long to you. For us, it felt very quick.
Well, out here, it lasted a little while. It kept shaking, long enough for us to get out the door, I'll tell you that.
Interesting.
Was it just you at home? I'm sorry to interrupt. Just you at home?
No, my wife was with me. She was in the house. I was outside, and she came out real quick.
Well, and that's, that's it's going to affect so many people differently. You're closer to it than us here in Glendale, but it is now updated to a 4.6 quake. And they're still investigating and looking at it. So Ryan, it's a 4.6, which means if you're near the epicenter of something like that, you feel it. You know that you're in an earthquake.
Where are they saying it was centered?
I have it.
Westlake Village, was it?
Yeah, roughly, yes. I could find the actual cities coordinated. I'm sitting here trying to.
Oh, well, if you're saying it's out there, then I probably need to get going towards my mom's house. She lives in that vicinity.
Well, Ryan, thank you. Well, thanks very much.
So much
it was
for calling in.
the depth
Absolutely.
of this was
I've already, just
13.
so you know, for the record, I've already spoken to my mom. She's fine.
Oh,
I just
okay.
know that it rattled pretty good out here. So if it rattled even more over there, maybe we should go over and hang out.
Well, basically, around the cities, you're talking about Westlake Village, Malibu, Thousand Oaks, Agoura Hills. That's the general area that it was closest to, said to be about 12.5 kilometers in depth. To help you out as far as where that was.
Well, it definitely moved a lot around here.
Yes.
But luckily, it looks like everybody's, I don't hear any sirens or anything, so I guess everybody kind of came out unscathed, which God bless that.
Yeah,
that is for sure.
That could be a
Ryan,
good
thank you
sign.
very much. That's Ryan Lippert. He's living in Malibu, sharing his experience with what he had on the heels of talking with Scott Rifesum.
Yeah, and we're also hearing from folks in Pomona and Aliso Viejo also felt it there.
Again, I mean, you're talking about Orange County now. And again, with respect to what we felt at 4.6, it's in Ventura County, Orange County, LA County. All of them have felt it. Ventura County actually looking out at this tweet that was sent. Again, according to U.S. Tsunami Warning Center, no tsunami threat. So they're again advising for more information on the quake. You could go to USGS.gov. And again, we would say the same thing. But this is a reminder to be prepared. And all of that information on how to be prepared, what you should have, is on our website, abc7.com. And you can get all of the information about the documents you might need. It's at abc7.com/prepare SoCal. So that is always one of the greatest things to have, is to do this on a day like today. If you're home, or even if you're at work and you go home, go to our website, and that's the thing. Make a plan. But that kit is very informed.
Yeah.
Is such a great thing, because you do need to have documents and everything prepared. And there are actions that we showed you a moment ago that you would need to take in the event of a major earthquake. The small fires and what you might need to do with gas at your house. But again, that making a plan. Here's what we're going to do, and here's how we're going to do it. Here's where we're going to be.
Right. And Philip, I'm getting a text message from Gabe Santos, our director, and also operates the helicopter. He says he felt it pretty strong in Studio City. I told him to give us a call and give us more details. He's trying to get in, so hopefully someone on the assignment desk can take his call or call him. But he said he felt kind of a long pre and post shaking, and then a jolt in the middle, which ties into what Ryan says that he felt.
Well, also to what we felt. I feel like I felt the middle of it, the jolt. I don't feel like I got the pre and post, as Gabe was talking about. We do have reports of a couple of aftershocks, one of 3.0 northwest of Malibu, a 2.7, and that is west-northwest of Malibu. So Malibu certainly would have felt the initial quake, which is now at 4.6, but then getting quite the follow-up with two, a 3.0 and a 2.7 earthquake.
Yeah. We're also getting some information from the LA Fire Department. PIO Eric Scott tweeting out, the LAFD is now in earthquake mode. When the ground shakes in the city of Los Angeles, the LAFD enters earthquake mode. Firefighters from all 106 fire stations will provide a complete survey of 470 square miles in the greater LA area to ensure. So that is good to know that is also underway. Not that we're expecting to find out about or hear about any damage, but you never know.
Well, and they will check the transportation infrastructure, which we heard from Karen Bass, that they are doing that with the train systems. Now, there have been major earthquakes before where I've talked with folks from Metro, and they talk about the subway system is really made for this, because it's actually tube within a tube, and so it can actually move within. So usually the subway is fine. It gets right back up and running very quickly, but they're still going to go through all of the checks and make sure all of the infrastructure is taken care of. A lot of times you might go by a fire station in your local neighborhood and you'll see all the trucks outside. So there's such a process that immediately goes into place. And again, we should make a plan, and you think of the firefighters and the city and transportation. Everybody has a plan. These massive infrastructure elements, there is a plan in place for what they do, no matter the size of an earthquake. Here's what we're going to do.
That's right.
And so you'll see that, and that's what Eric Scott was saying about the fire.
Yeah, and also the earthquake. They're checking the freeway overpasses. Dodger Stadium, did you mention that? I was kind of distracted when you were talking. Universities, apartment buildings, dams, power lines. So that's a lot of area and a lot of places to go through. Well,
let's go to Carolyn, I believe, Ford.
Yes.
She is in Thousand Oaks, and Carolyn probably felt a pretty good bit of this shaking. Can you tell us what you experienced today, Carolyn?
Hi. I was sitting on the couch, and I was just sitting with my dog, and I just felt the couch kind of jitter, and then I knew, and I just sat, and I was like, oh, wow. And then I saw the wall, like the side, because I'm in the bottom story of an apartment, and you can just see like the wall kind of shake, and that's where I got up, and it was like a bigger jolt. So I grabbed the dog, and I ran outside, and it was already over by that point. So it was a pretty good jolt.
So did you feel the roll up to it, or did you just get just a big jolt?
No, I felt the roll and a jolt. I felt all of it because I was sitting down.
And
it was pretty strong.
And where did you say you are?
Thousand Oaks. I border Westlake Village.
Thousand Oaks. Okay, so that makes sense. You were a little bit closer.
Did you all of a sudden get calls from friends and family to make sure that you were okay?
I got a couple of texts, yeah, from my husband and my friend, Simi Valley, which she didn't feel it at all.
Well,
So
we are also...
that's
We're also seeing network news here that says a 5.7 quake hit near Hawaii. So the Earth seems to be moving a bit. Did you feel any of the aftershocks, Carolyn?
No, I did not.
which is sometimes very interesting how you can get such an impact of a 4.6 quake, feeling the beginning, the middle, and the end, and then you don't even feel the aftershocks.
Yeah, I didn't feel anything, just that big one. That was it.
And have you gone through earthquakes before? I mean, what was this like for you?
Absolutely. I went through the Northridge. I think I was 10 or 12. Actually, no, I was a little bit older because I was in high school. I think I was in 9th grade, and that was scary. That was like a train hitting your house. That was terrifying. And since then, I've been scared of earthquakes because going through that at a young age was pretty scary.
Well, Carolyn, I can tell you that my wife lived through the Northridge earthquake while she was at Cal State Northridge, and she has never forgotten it. It is always with her, and we've had several conversations. So you are not alone when it comes to that kind of experience, that's for sure. Yes,
definitely.
Yeah.
Well, Carolyn, thank you for taking the time to talk with us a little bit about your experience. Again, just such a wide-ranging earthquake at 4.6. It is a minor, earthquake technically, but there are a lot of people that felt this one.
There sure are, and we are trying to secure an interview with Lucy Jones. It's not available just yet, but just so you know, we are working on talking with her. She always is such a wealth of knowledge and can put all of this into perspective for us. So we're working on that. In the meantime, we continue to hear from people who have felt this quake. Again, it was at what, 149?
147, 149, yes. right in that space, about 10 minutes, about 150 or so.
Initially reported as a 4.7, then it dropped down to a 4.5. Now we're back up to a magnitude 4.6. The mayor tweeting also just confirming what I just said, preliminary magnitude 4.6 quake near Malibu shook the Los Angeles area this afternoon. Again, saying that the fire department, the LA Fire Department has activated and is conducting its routine survey of the city to assess for all damages, and city teams will continue to monitor. And so many different things that are coming to us right now. This one just leaps off the page. We were just talking about Cal State, the Northridge quake, but it was on February 9th, 1971, that we had a magnitude 6.6 earthquake that hit here in LA, the Sylmar quake. This was near Magic Mountain, 6 miles northeast of Sylmar, and that earthquake was massive, and it is hard to believe. There's so many changes came from the Sylmar quake as far as retrofitting and making sure that buildings were prepared. But think about that, 1971, Philip, I
February
remember that
9th,
earthquake.
the Sylmar quake.
We had just moved here from Cuba.
Wow.
Okay, and my mother, I remember the fear on my mother's face. It was something she had never experienced. Of course, I had never experienced it, so that was really something that.
Well, I mean, you think about it from, now you're talking about a 4.6 quake because you're Californian, you've been here for a long time, since 1971. But when you're moving here, I mean, there will be people right here in Southern California who've just moved here, and this is their first quake.
That's right.
So for them, they're going to, it's every
scary.
Thought that they've ever had. Oh, here we are.
And no less scary, yes.
Yeah.
We don't have an interview with Lucy Jones, but we do have some of her input, her perspective. Let's listen in to what she had to say.
And I know we're just kind of in early reports of this 4.7 earthquake near Malibu. What can you tell us about the scale of that, given the proximity to Malibu?
Yeah, well, luckily it's actually down to 4.5, and in California we build to, we expect to have 7, so a 4.5 shouldn't really be doing any damage. I felt it here in Pasadena. It's felt widely across the LA area. It's about halfway between Malibu and Thousand Oaks, so under what are called the Santa Monica Mountains. There shouldn't be damage at this level because we build better than that here in California.
We are glad that you're okay, that you felt it, and we appreciate your analysis on this right away. Dr. Jones, thank you so much. Dr.
Lucy Jones has a way of saying everything that we need to hear, because she is right. And, we were talking about that 1971 earthquake and how many structural changes were made as a result of some of the devastating quakes we've had over the years. And she pointed out, we build a 7.0, and this is a 4.6. That was taped. And as we heard, we were here, and initial was 4.7, and they went down to 4.5, and now they're back at 4.6. So just that was on tape, and so things have changed. But her point is the same. We shouldn't feel much damage in the way of this quake because we build for that.
That's right. And we are just moments away from a press conference with Lucy Jones. They are trying to get that ready to go. That will be a general news conference for everyone. So we won't be asking her questions directly, but we'll be hearing from her and other earthquake.
It's with Caltech.
With Caltech, yes. So they're trying to get that together, and so we'll have that for you shortly.
And we're just kind of trying to keep you posted. And, so many people want to turn on the television or the radio or however they get their information to find out. We want to, this is also a great time here on television to let you know about our streaming app. You might be away from a television and you experience an earthquake, but you want to know what's happened, so you can always go to our free ABC 7 Los Angeles app. That's available in the App Store. It's for free, and this is a perfect time when something like this happens that you can listen in. So we're going to now listen to this Caltech press conference, and there's Dr. Lucy Jones right now.
Happened today. It's coming out at magnitude 4.6. It's located between Malibu and Thousand Oaks, very close to what's called the Malibu Coast Fault. It's at a significant depth. It's about, 13 kilometers? About 13 kilometers deep. It's widely felt across the Los Angeles area. I felt it here in Pasadena. And it's, again, a fault that's, it's an area that has had plenty of earthquakes in the past and is well understood to be a seismically active area. It's not so large that we would really be expecting any damage. So it's sort of run-of-the-mill for earthquake country. We have had about a dozen aftershocks already, and that would be expected to continue over the day at least. That's pretty much what we have on it. Should we get some questions coming in if you want to have more details?
Sure. So everyone, as I said before, if you have questions to submit, please use the Q&A bubble at the bottom bar of your Zoom. We have one in right now from the Associated Press. Is there any possible connection between this and the 6.3 magnitude quake that hit Hawaii a few hours ago?
Let me answer that. It's only a little over an hour since the earthquake in Hawaii, which is actually a magnitude 5.7. Is the magnitude that's coming out. And no, there would be no relation. I mean, earthquakes, magnitude 5s happen every day somewhere around the world. And we have looked for correlations between earthquakes at greater distances. And we do see it, but it scales with the size of the first earthquake. And a magnitude 5.7 might affect as much as 100 miles or so. And California is way more than 100 miles away from Hawaii. So no, we don't see it as any relationship. Just remind you that if you have a random distribution, sometimes it clusters or otherwise it wouldn't be random.
Thank you. We've got a question now from KCAL. What fault was this near?
Gabriel, you want to pick it up?
Sure. This one was very near the Malibu Coast Fault Zone. So I think we mentioned earlier, this is an area that's had, similar size earthquakes before. So a known active region.
Mm-hmm. And the Malibu Coast Fault comes out just about at the coastline. Some probably is controlling some of the coastline along there in Malibu, pushing up those mountains, dips down underneath the mountains. And this is located down dip. So close to the lower part of the fault. As I said, it's at 13 kilometers depth.
Thank you. Got another question. When was the last quake near this area felt?
There was a magnitude 5 within the last few years. We need to do a quick search of it. Just off the top of my head, I know there was a 5.2 just south of here in 1979, actually during the Rose Bowl game in 1979. There's another in 1989, there was a magnitude 5.1. Again, similar sort of area. Are there more recent ones, Gabriel?
Yeah, so What we have on our records is that there's been about 5 events of a magnitude 4 or greater within 10 kilometers of today's event. There was a 5.3 was the largest in 1973. And I think the most recent one, it looks like, was a 4.4 in 2009. So that's within 10 kilometers. There was one that was, a little ways off the coast, I think last January.
Thank you. Are there any other questions?
Just to add to that, everybody will remember there was the Ojai earthquake that happened not too long ago. I think that was the one Lucy was referring to. That was a magnitude 5.1 also.
But farther north, not
Yeah,
on the Malibu, right?
But
Yeah, but
similar.
in those transverse ranges, those mountains that go, they call them transverse because they run east-west, where most things in California run northwest, southeast. And the transverse ranges have dozens of faults within them. They've had many, many earthquakes, and are probably the highest seismic risk outside of the San Andreas Fault, just because there's so many faults within this area.
Yeah, thank you. Are there other questions from the press? Like I said, just go down to the Q&A function and type in any questions you have. Okay, seeing none. Lucy, Alan, Gabriel, are there any additional thoughts you have on this that you'd like to share?
I'll just go ahead and say we contribute to earthquake early warning. The USGS actually is our counterpart that it puts out the alert to the different systems that then go to your cell phones and whatnot. It works successfully. We heard it in our hallway go off about 10 seconds before we felt the waves here in Pasadena. So just if there's questions about that, then just FYI that seems to be working.
I'd also add the one other thing that's true of every earthquake in California has about a 5% chance of being followed by something bigger within the next couple of days. And so there is the possibility, very low, that we could have a bigger event here, but it's higher than your background case. And I just remind you that if we were to have a big earthquake, that you should drop, cover, hold on when it's actually shaking. And you might want to think about what you've done of storing water, for instance, or other ways of looking at your earthquake supplies. We like to think of these events as a good opportunity to just remind you that the bigger ones do happen very occasionally.
Fantastic, thank you.
Okay.
If there are no other questions, I think we can bring this to a close for now.
So we've been listening into some
or...
great information from Caltech, and I think what Dr. Jones said right there at the end is so critical. Drop, cover, hold on. So many people have a tendency to try to run out of their home. That's the first thing that they think of, and it's understandable, but the idea is to drop, cover, and hold on, because if it's a major earthquake, things can fall off the side of your house. You can be hurt while you're running out. There's so many things that can happen that aren't related to the earthquake if you're trying to run and the ground is moving. So what Dr. Jones said there is drop, cover, hold on, and that is just, and to make the plan. And she did point out there is the possibility, however remote, that we could still have a larger event, but it's good to remind ourselves of that information, drop, cover, hold on, if you're in an earthquake.
Yeah, she said it's a 5% chance, 5% chance of a bigger quake happening in the next few days. That's still a small chance, but still something to keep in mind. And we have Gabe Santos on the phone with us. He is in Studio City. Gabe, thanks so much for calling in. Happy you got through. What was it like for you in Studio City?
Yeah, Giovanna, Philip, good to talk to you guys, and very good hearing from Dr. Lucy Jones there. She's always kind of the voice of reason in these situations. But as far as what I felt in Studio City, I guess from being in the valley, kind of more near to where the epicenter of this earthquake was, I did feel that slow rumble. And I live on a pretty busy street, so I I feel that a lot, but when it just continued and continued for a number of seconds, then I start thinking like, oh, this might be, something significant. And then I felt the strong jolt. The jolt lasted for another few seconds, and then a kind of post-rumble that went on for, I would say, a good 5 to 10 seconds after that. And that kind of is the point to where you're wondering, is this the beginning of something stronger, or is that it? And then as the rumble slowly subsided after that, that's when I started thinking, okay, we just had an earthquake. That does seem to be it. And now I start wondering, where was this earthquake? I think as Scott Reif was saying earlier, when you feel it to that degree, it wasn't a significant shaking, but just enough to be moderately felt. Then you start wondering, is it something huge far away that I'm just feeling the tail edge of, or something on the far edges of, or is it something closer that was more on the smaller side? So that's when I turned on the TV, went to Twitter, and just started looking and saying, oh, it's this 4.6 near Malibu. And that's when, the nerves are kind of brought back down a little bit to where this becomes, that this is, as Dr. Lucy Jones says, more of a run-of-the-mill moderate earthquake, and not the big one that we are all so aptly aware of. And I want to point out something that I'm seeing on X from a lot of people. Is a lot of people actually did get that shake alert. I didn't in Studio City, but I know other people in Studio City that did, that actually got that a good couple of seconds before they felt the shaking. So I thought that was kind of an interesting.
As Gabe was talking about that shake alert,
Yeah,
but they
the
were
shake
also
alert.
saying that with the Caltech press conference, is that they heard it in Pasadena. So it seems to be around.
I have heard it in the past. I did not get that alert this time, but
Yeah, I didn't either, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen.
happen,
It was,
that's right.
because it clearly did. And one of the other things that we wanted to point out, you notice on our map here to the left, the 4.6, that's about where the epicenter is, near Malibu. But, and I think Gabe is still with us. We lost your signal there for a second, Gabe. I was kind of curious if you'd felt any of the aftershocks, because Dr. Jones said we've had about a dozen already aftershocks. There have been they all are in the same general area. If you see 3.0, when I say magnitude, same area, I mean area of magnitude, 3.0, 2.3, 2.0. But there have been a dozen, and she said that might continue for the rest of the day. Have you felt any of the aftershocks or just the main earthquake?
I have not. I just felt the main shake. I didn't feel any of these other smaller quakes. And like I said, I live on kind of a busy street, so I feel a lot of vibrations in my house. That's on the third story of a building here in the Studio City area. So I usually feel shaking of any sort, but I have not felt any of these aftershocks. Usually, if it's smaller than 3, I don't. I felt other earthquakes 4 and above in that general area. Lucy Jones mentioned the one in January of last year that was a little bit further out into the Santa Monica Bay, and I did feel that one pretty good here in Studio City. So usually, if it's under 3, it's not really something that I think makes it over the Santa Monica.
and then I think we lost you, Gabe, and maybe we'll get your signal once again.
Well, we have some video.
We have some video, yes, and if the producers can tell us again, where is this video from? It's Westlake Village, and you see the little dog at the top of the stairs, and you see the shaking. That is not significant. That is.
Well, clearly it scared the dog, and you know what? It's interesting that we've heard before that the animals will often give you a bit of a warning as well, because they'll begin to feel those lower waves in advance of what's happening. But this is from Angela, and we want to say thank you for anyone who takes the time to send it. You can use our app. ABC 7 Los Angeles, and you can be an eyewitness as well. Share your video, your images with us, and we'd be able to then put them on the air. But again, that was one of those moments where you saw the dog. And we also have Jory Rand available. So much like Scott Reif and Gabe Santos, Jory Rand giving us a call to experience what he felt. Where were you, Jory, and what did you feel?
We are in Northeast LA. I'm off today, and we're about a month out from having a baby. So just doing a little furniture construction upstairs, and we felt a quick jolt and just kind of, Marcy and I just kind of looked at each other. And then we felt another jolt and realized exactly what was happening. She ducked into a doorway. We went over, it's funny you showed that dog video. The last earthquake we had, I think our dogs reacted pretty strongly. And this one, they were just either sitting there clueless or just kind of looking up in the air, wondering what was going on. So it was just a few seconds. We could tell it wasn't nothing. We didn't know how far away we were from the epicenter, but it was significant enough to give the house a couple jolts. We actually had a technician here working on our HVAC, and he's under the deck, so I went under there to see if he had felt it, and he said no, but I heard some creaking on the deck. I thought someone was walking up there. I said no, I think there was no one up there. That was the earthquake. So we felt it pretty good here, Highland Park, Mount Washington area.
That is strikingly similar to the two of us here in the same building. I heard the building creaking more than I felt it. Giovanna, sitting down, felt it. So, were you similar to us in that, Jory, you wondered, is this the beginning or am I way far away from it?
Always. Anytime we feel that first jolt, you kind of wonder whether this is it, right? Whether it's going to keep going. And you just kind of wait it out, find a safe spot to do so. And it ended pretty quickly, so we knew we were in the clear. And we have not felt any aftershocks. I know there are a lot of reports of them right now, and we have yet to feel one, whether that's just we're too far away or they haven't been strong enough.
Right.
But we felt the initial pretty well.
Yeah, and it wasn't long enough for you all to try to drop, cover, and hold because it was relatively short.
No, it was really enough time. I mean, Marcy just ducked into a doorway, and I was still sitting on the ground with a screwdriver in my hand, and it was over in time where neither of us had really much more time to react to anything. But we were ready if need be.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that is one of the things that we just keep going back to drop, cover, hold on. Don't try to run out of your house. And I think, Jory, the similarities here. I mean, it takes you a second to realize what's happening because you don't necessarily. But I feel that you and I are probably in the same boat here. There would be a moment if that had kept going that I was going to drop, cover, and hold on. It's not. You just take a minute to get your bearings. And for me, in this circumstance, it was over by the time I got the bearings of, okay, yeah, this is what's happening. I guess we lost Jory.
I guess we lost.
He was going to agree
Rand.
with me.
Yeah,
I'm certain he was going to agree with me.
Because I wanted to ask him if they were prepared, meaning did they have a plan and do they have water and medications and whatever else they think they would need as a supply in case a big earthquake actually happened. Jory, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Did I disappear?
Yeah, you did. We couldn't hear you for a second, but I was just telling Philip that I wanted to ask you, how prepared are you guys, you and Marcy, in case of a big earthquake? Have you taken the steps to set aside some water and whatever medications and maybe some extra food? Have you guys done that? No judgment.
But every time, no, of course not. I mean, every time this happens, it's a reminder. I'm sure people put it off and procrastinate. We did it for a long time too. There's no shame or judgment in it. It's every time it's just a new reminder that now is a great time to do so. So we have all the supplies. We have a backpack under the bed with food and water and those bars that can last for years. But every time I hear Dr. Jones speak, she always says, however much water you have, it's not enough. They run their simulations, and that's the big concern is whether you have enough water. And if there's time, it's suggested you fill up your bathtub because if the water's off for days or a week, how quickly that runs out just to flush your toilet. You start to think about the necessities of life and what you need to do, and we probably don't have as much as we need or as even that we think we do. So Every time I hear her talk, I just think, even as prepared as we are, we're not prepared enough, and you can never stock up enough because you're fine until you're not. And so you think you have everything taken care of, and then all of a sudden new circumstances pop up, and you find yourself in a situation where you're in need, or if you have kids, there's a problem. And so stock up, get those supplies ready, and you know, if you think you have enough, just maybe get a little more.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And even things you don't think about, for example, having gas in your car in case you need to make a quick escape and you know you don't have any access to gasoline. So all of those things, of course, batteries and candles if the power goes out. So it's really a good time, maybe this weekend before the Super Bowl, to make a plan with your family.
Jory, thank you very much, and congratulations and all the excitement for the new child on the way. We want to thank you for stopping by real quick. We have James on the phone. He's out in Calabasas, and James, you probably felt beginning, middle, and end of this thing. Did you realize it was just 4.6, or did it feel a little bigger?
It seemed a little bigger because I live on a second-story condo, so the shaking was a little more severe than it led on. But we wrote it out rather well. The shaking, there was like a loud sound. Kind of reminded me of the Northridge quake. There was like a little rumbling before it hit, and then things started shaking side to side, and it lasted about a minute and a half as far as the shaking was concerned. But we had things fly off the shelves, some very heavy lead bookends and pictures and things like that, but not a lot of major damage. And we wrote it out just fine. We're rather veterans with this.
So you had things fall off the shelves, and it lasted a minute for you?
Yes, because we got the initial shake, and then we felt two aftershocks immediately afterwards. Roughly, I found out it was roughly like about 2 point something. But yeah, we had to write out a couple of aftershocks as well. And then once everything settled, we have a very detailed plan when things like this happen, because I'm a veteran of the Sylmar quake, the Northridge quake. So we're set. We've got earthquake preparedness all over the house.
Mm-hmm. So what did you do when you started to feel the actual shaking of the ground? Is there a place in your home where you drop, cover, and hold, or what do you guys do?
Well, for example, when the Northridge quake hit with me, I was in bed at the time, and one of the advice that I followed was, if you're in bed, stay in bed, cover with the pillows and stuff in case things fall on you, because if you get up, then things could fall on you while you're going out. This time around, I was sitting with my mother on the couch. My wife was in her room because she works from home. We just stayed in place and wrote it out because we were in the safest places in the house.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like you're an expert. Well, how was your mother? Was she rattled at all, or is she just an old hand at this as well?
She's also an old hand with it because she's been with all three of those earthquakes. We ruled them all out together. The only people that panicked in the house was one of our two cats.
Now, did they feel it ahead of time, or were they pretty much right along your sense of feeling? There are those who have said that pets feel it first.
Well, our male cat, Benny, he freaked out, and he started running before it hit, and that's kind of how I knew it was coming along. My own cat, the female cat, was in my arms, and she didn't budge because she was with me, so she was okay.
Well, just so everybody knows, it's not as if they're psychic or something. They actually feel the waves coming first. They actually feel it first, and they're uncertain as to what it is. Unlike James, they haven't gone through 3 of them.
Yes, exactly.
If they do, they might not remember.
What were you going to say?
I highly recommend, because the person before me was recommending, with water and all that, prepare for these kind of things, because I have an earthquake closet that's dedicated to food, water, electricity. Everything you need is in this house. And it also comes in handy in other things, because we rode out the Woolsey fire using those same preparedness things. So it's wise to invest in these kind of things to, make sure that your family's okay in your home.
Absolutely. And the other thing to remember when you do set aside supplies is that you have to revisit them, your stash, every 6 months, 7 months or so, just to make sure everything is fresh.
Yes, I'm actually a former inventory manager. I have a rolling stock of food and water. So all you have to do is you stock up, and then as your inventory is starting to get old, you use it, because you store things that you actually are going to eat and drink. So we just put it in with the groceries and make meals and rotate everything out. And it works just fine once you get it started.
Well, that's the perfect example. I mean, a lot of people like having bottled water in their home anyway.
Yeah.
Why not go ahead and have a stock of bottled water in a closet, just like James is talking about, and you just use that. And when you use a case, you replace it, but it's all there for your need in the event of a major quake. James, thank you very much. James,
thank you, guys.
out in Calabasas, who's lived through a few of these and gave us some great advice as to what he did and what we should do.
Yeah, and I have a programming note for those who have been wanting to see General Hospital. It will re-air again tonight at 1:06 a.m., or that would be tomorrow. 1:06 a.m. General Hospital will air.
So set your VCR.
Yes.
You're looking now on the right. That's Air 7 HD, just kind of flying the area. We heard from James in Calabasas there, had some things fall off of shelves. And we weren't, he didn't have a lot of damage, but he did have some things fall off off of his shelves.
Yeah, that's right. And we want to check in. We have another caller from, I believe it's Rancho Palos Verdes.
Annabelle. Annabelle Munoz is live.
I'm sorry. Didn't get that information. Let's go to Annabelle. She is live on the ground. Where are you, Annabelle?
Hi, Giovanna. I am calling in to tell you what we felt here in Rancho Palos Verdes. We're in the community of Seaside, where the ground is actually already moving. We were here because we were reporting on the ongoing issue with a landslide in this area. You can see just behind me, underneath that black tarp, that's where the ground has been shifting. Now, let me tell you what was happening when that earthquake hit. We were actually in the news van right over here. We were doing some editing, and my photographer said, "Did you feel that? I think something's going on with the truck." These trucks often move and make strange noises, so we thought maybe it was a truck issue, but it was several strong jolts, and that's when we realized it was probably an earthquake. A few minutes later, one of the residents who is in this neighborhood came by and asked, "Did you guys feel that?" We obviously, like so many other people, checked Twitter and confirmed that it was, in fact, a pretty strong earthquake. Now, we did think about the landslide and the land that is shifting in this neighborhood, but we understand what's happening here is called a creep, and so it's very slow. It likely wouldn't feel like that, but folks here are okay. There's also some workers who are here 24/7. One of the workers told me he was on his lunch break when it happened and felt it as well, but no damage to report in the area thus far.
Now, Annabelle, I see that you're having some difficulty with the audio, so I'm going to ask you this and give you a chance to hear it. But I was actually concerned, and you kind of explained it, but I'd like to go a little bit further. I know that the land moving there is not related to the earthquake. However, when I heard you were in this location and there's unstable ground there, were the neighbors or you concerned that an earthquake could make the creep worse?
That definitely crossed my mind. I am definitely not a geological expert, but we would love to know and check in with maybe engineers in the area who know a little bit more, but that is certainly one of the first things that came to mind. One, is that what we're feeling? Is it an earthquake? And two, is that going to make the situation here worse? You can see some pipes now that are out above ground right now. They've had many water main breaks in the area, and so there's a situation that's certainly very delicate in this neighborhood, and we hope that earthquake didn't exacerbate that situation.
And Annabelle, did you see any residents come out to talk to each other, compare notes? Did you see any of that?
You know, just that one resident who ran up to our news van and asked if we felt it, and we did. He seemed pretty lighthearted about the situation. I think a lot of folks might be working, so there aren't people out in the neighborhood right now. That one person that we spoke with certainly felt it. I mean, you know, I wondered where exactly the epicenter was because we felt it so strongly here in Rancho Palos Verdes, and we know it was quite a distance from here, so it was a big one.
Yeah.
That is the truth. Annabelle, yeah, go ahead.
Even though Lucy Jones says it's a run-of-the-mill quake, depending on where you are, it could feel much more unsettling. Thank you so much, Annabelle. Thank you.
You know, we do want to let everybody know a little bit of housekeeping. It's 2:50 right now. We are going to stay on the air until 3 o'clock. Eyewitness News at 3 will begin at that point. And again, as Giovanna mentioned just a few moments ago, but we want to reiterate for those who might be planning on watching General Hospital, you can set your VCR, you can set your DVR. Yeah, boy, that is old school, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Set your DVR to 106 in the morning, 106 a.m. We will rerun our episode of General Hospital that we have preempted due to this earthquake, which was, again, 4.6. It hit at about 1:50, so right about an hour ago. And then we've had at least a dozen aftershocks. It seems as if the people who felt it in the surrounding cities, the main earthquake in surrounding cities, and we've heard it from Huntington Beach up into Ventura County, they have all felt the earthquake. You heard Annabelle right there in Rancho Palos Verdes, but not a lot of people felt the aftershocks. Most of the aftershocks, as we looked at our map, happened in and around Malibu, which is generally where the main earthquake hit, the 4.6 earthquake. So that's the image right there that I was looking at a moment ago. But this is a dozen or so aftershocks that have already been recorded. And Dr. Jones said earlier, we should expect aftershocks throughout the day today. But she also mentioned this has nothing to do with the major earthquake that hit in Hawaii that was about 5.7. So it's a coincidence. They are random acts. They are not connected. That is too far away for them to be connected. But she did point out there was a 5.7 in Hawaii, and then this earthquake with all of the aftershocks near Malibu.
That's right. She also said this happened on the Malibu Coast Fault Zone in the Santa Monica Mountains between Thousand Oaks and Malibu. She said it was 13 kilometers deep, widely felt across Los Angeles. As we've been reporting, we've heard people calling in from Calabasas, Lomita, South LA, East Los Angeles, West Hills, Westminster, among some of the other cities that we mentioned earlier. And she also talked about that 5% chance of this, of a larger quake happening in the days to come. But 5% is small.
Sure. Yeah, well, she said it was remote, but certainly it's a possibility. But we talked with James about what he experienced in Calabasas. We have some video, I believe, of shaking at a liquor store in Malibu. James had talked about things falling off shelves for him. Okay, we don't have that video yet, but we are working. Some of you have sent us video. We did see from Angela of a dog running down the stairs. This is the video.
Can we play that one? Oh, yeah. Yeah, sorry.
We have this video, but you guys are starting to send, that's from from their Ring camera. So we're starting to see people send us some of the video. Here's more. Now see, remember, this is your moment where you drop cover and hold on. You did see there in Playa Vista some items fall off of that shelf there. And again, this is kind of what Jory and I were talking about, and you too.
Yeah.
You're trying to figure out what's happening. But when the world starts shaking, go ahead, drop, cover, and hold on.
Right. And look at to the right of your screen, you could see that was a significant shaking right there. If you look at the window, how it shakes, it's unsettling, but it always takes a few seconds for you to process it.
Yeah, and again, here are the aftershocks. And so we had some video of Dr. Jones speaking. If we wanted, do we want to try to listen to that again really quickly? Because Dr. Jones had talked with others at Caltech, gave a little question and answer for a moment ago, and she was talking about dozens of quakes. So again, you've seen the magnitude of 4.6. That's the quake near Malibu. But then all of the aftershocks, most of them being felt if you're in and around Malibu. They were 3.0, 2.3. But anybody that felt it elsewhere, the general consensus that we've had is they've not felt the aftershocks. So the aftershocks, although many, have not been significantly large. And so most people haven't been feeling the aftershocks.
Yeah. Do we have that soundbite?
Yeah, I'll start with an overview of the earthquake that happened today. It's coming out at magnitude 4.6. It's located between Malibu and Thousand Oaks, very close to what's called the Malibu Coast Fault. It's at a significant depth. It's about, 13 kilometers? About 13 kilometers deep. It's widely felt across the Los Angeles area. I felt it here in Pasadena. And it's again a fault that's it's an area that has had plenty of earthquakes in the past and is well understood to be a seismically active area. It's not so large that we would really be expecting any damage. So it's sort of run-of-the-mill for earthquake country. We have had about a dozen aftershocks already, and that would be expected to continue over the day at least. That's pretty much what we have on it. Should we get some questions coming in if you want to have more details?
Sure. So everyone, as I said before, if you have questions to submit, please use the Q&A bubble at the bottom bar of your Zoom. We have one in right now from the Associated Press. Is there any possible connection between this and the 6.3 magnitude quake that hit Hawaii a few hours ago?
Let me answer that. It's only a little over an hour since the earthquake in Hawaii, which is actually a magnitude 5.7 is the magnitude that's coming out. And no, there would be no relation. I mean, earthquakes, magnitude 5s happen every day somewhere around the world. And we have looked for correlations between earthquakes at greater distances. It scale, and we do see it, but it scales with the size of the first earthquake. And a magnitude 5.7 might affect as much as 100 miles or so. And California is way more than 100 miles away from Hawaii. So no, we don't see it as any relationship. Just remind you that if you have a random distribution, sometimes it clusters, or otherwise it wouldn't be random.
Thank you. We've got a question now from KCAL. What fault was this near?
So that was earlier. That was Dr. Jones and other scientists there at Caltech, and they were trying to give us an update as to everything that was happening. Dr. Jones, always this wonderful voice of reason of letting everybody know. One of the things that she did say with this is that, again, some 10,000 of this size earthquake will happen around the world every day. And here in Southern California, we build for 7.0. So this should probably not have much in the way of damage. We have seen some things shaken off of shelves, but haven't seen any real damage. I guess I should
And
tighten
again,
this
she
up.
calls this a run-of-the-mill earthquake, being at 4.5. But those the shaking alert system did go through. Lots of people getting those alerts, and they mentioned that they got about 10 seconds of warning in the Pasadena area.
And that was intermittent because not everyone did, and we don't want to. This isn't an indictment on the system. The system is working, it sounds like, and for people who are close and they might have an opportunity to get this update. That was in Pasadena. The Caltech folks were saying that they did get it, but then other people didn't, and that's okay. As we look at Air 7 HD, they're kind of looking around the Malibu area, which is where this earthquake was centered, near Malibu. And Dr. Jones said it was deep earthquake. It was roughly 13 kilometers deep. And then you can see on our map here the size of most of these aftershocks. It was about 1:47 p.m., the initial quake. Many of us here at the studios also felt it. It was, for me, more of a sound-driven event where I could hear the building creaking and shaking more than I felt it. But there are any number of people, Giovanna included, who actually was seated and was beginning to feel the rolling waves. We're starting to change things over. It's 2:59. Ellen Leva, Colleen Sullivan are standing by, getting ready to start here on Eyewitness News at 3. So as Colleen gets ready, we want to say thanks to Giovanna for being here. We've been on the air for this earthquake about an hour now, and we're just getting ready to start Eyewitness News at 3 o'clock. So again, our breaking news that we've been watching for the past hour or so has been an earthquake of 4.6, the equivalent of some 30,000 pounds of explosives. That's the energy equivalent of this earthquake, but that is also considered a minor earthquake because it's not expected to cause a lot of damage. But the areas that felt this have gone from Ventura County all the way down to Orange County. One of the areas that we believe we heard it felt was Aliso Viejo, and so Aliso Viejo reported that they felt it. And again, with that wide range of people who felt this earthquake, the experiences will be remarkably different. Some people felt all of it. We've heard reports of people feeling about a minute worth of shaking, and for those of us here in Glendale, it was roughly 10 to 15 seconds.
Yeah, Philip, and I think you and I and Ellen and Giovanna, that we were all kind of talking, but you and I were standing up, and I thought it was just kind of a big burst of, like a gust of wind since we've had such active weather lately. And then I thought maybe it's the helicopter, maybe it's Air 7 HD. And then we all realized maybe it is an earthquake. And Ellen, you were sitting down as well, but I didn't feel anything. It was just a quick little, I thought it was a gust of wind.
I did feel it. Philip and I were in a hallway in the office by the offices, and we did feel it. And the first thing you think about, oh gosh, is this the precursor to something bigger, or is there a larger earthquake farther away? That's the first question that comes to mind is this feeling just a little bit of the edge of a larger earthquake? So thank goodness it is what Dr. Lucy Jones said was a sort of a run-of-the-mill earthquake for us here in California. Thank goodness. A lot of aftershocks you can see, but 4.6. And we felt a lot of shaking, though, apparently in Westlake Village. A friend of mine lives there. Also, my sister is in town visiting from Arizona. She felt it in Altadena. So that's a quite... All right, we're going to just take one little second and pause. And we're going to start Eyewitness News at 3 right now.
This is Eyewitness News with live breaking news.
Again, we are following breaking news right now. Southern California rattled by a 4.6 earthquake this afternoon centered near Malibu. Hello, and thank you so much for joining us. I'm Colleen Sullivan.
And I'm Ellen Leyva. You're watching Eyewitness News at 3 live on ABC 7 Hulu and wherever you stream. And we are starting to see some video of this earthquake. This one was sent in to us from a viewer, Angela Giacobbe. Apologize if I pronounced your name incorrectly. This is in Westlake Village. As you can see that shaking. Then the dog comes barreling down the stairs. And this earthquake, which struck at 1:47 p.m., was centered about 7.7 miles southwest of Westlake Village and 7.9 miles northwest of Malibu. Quake was felt over a wide area, as we've been saying.
It certainly was. And less than an hour after the quake struck, renowned seismologist Dr. Lucy Jones, she joined other Caltech researchers to explain what a lot of us felt all across Southern California.
It's located between Malibu and Thousand Oaks, very close to what's called the Malibu Coast Fault. It's at a significant depth. It's about, 13 kilometers? About 13 kilometers deep. It's widely felt across the Los Angeles area. I felt it here in Pasadena. And it's, again, a fault that's it's an area that has had plenty of earthquakes in the past, sort of run-of-the-mill for earthquake country. We have had about a dozen aftershocks already, and that would be expected to continue over the day at least.
LA Mayor Karen Bass posted a message on social media shortly after the earthquake, saying that the LAFD has activated to conduct its routine survey of the city to assess any damage. City teams will continue to monitor.
And Max Alperstein from Colony House Liquor in Malibu is on the phone right now. Max, thank you so much for joining us. We're getting some video so we can clearly see you're in an area where, first of all, was very close to the epicenter of this, and you're surrounded by a lot of delicate bottles. So what were you feeling and what was going through your mind when the quake struck?
Hi, good afternoon, Kathleen, and good afternoon to you guys. It was a jolt. One of my guys in the back was putting some bottles away, and as you can see probably in the video I'd sent over, he comes running out. Luckily, it was just a jolt that happened, and everything else was okay. Some bottles on the shelf started moving, but luckily nothing broke.
Wow, nothing broke. That is impressive, being that you're in a liquor store and everyone, that's sort of what you end up seeing. You expect to see wine kind of smashed on the ground. So were you thinking this was the beginning of a stronger quake, or were you thinking this is the end? I mean, we do live in Southern California. We're kind of used to earthquakes, but what were you thinking that was about to happen, or if it was going to get worse?
Well, the building's been around since 1961, so when we feel the building shaking, we're just making sure everything is going to be safe and sound. We just didn't know if there was going to be some aftershocks afterwards or if this was going to be it. Thankfully, it came and went pretty quickly. Most of any customers that were here ran out the doors into the parking lot. Everybody was just a little bit surprised, but, a couple of dogs were barking and everything else was okay.
Well, hopefully all your customers came back in and start their weekend correctly, but yeah, we're glad that you didn't sustain any damage and you didn't lose any merchandise.
Yeah, we're super grateful and just thankful that we're not sweeping up a bunch of wine on the floor right now.
Oh, yeah.
That's really sad to see. All right, Max, thank you very much for joining us live on Eyewitness News at 3. Well, the quake, it was felt all across Southern California. And in Rancho Palos Verdes, the quake struck as some homeowners were already dealing with land movements because of all the recent rain.
And Eyewitness News reporter Annabelle Munoz is live in Rancho Palos Verdes. And Annabelle, what are you hearing?
Colleen and Ellen, I'll tell you what we're feeling. We did feel that earthquake here in Rancho Palos Verdes. You can see a little bit of the scene and just the context that we were in. We're reporting in this Seaview neighborhood because the ground here is already shifting, and this is a significant concern for residents who live here. You can see underneath that black tarp, that is where the ground has lifted and continues to slowly shift in the neighborhood. So when the earthquake hit, my photographer, Rich Cannell, and I were actually inside of the news van. So we're sitting there, we're editing, and then all of a sudden my photographer goes, "Did you feel that?" And we kind of just stopped, held our breath, I think, for a few seconds, and he thought it may be something to do with the van. There's a lot of, just different issues that could come up, and we kind of just attributed it to the van. But like many people do, I quickly opened the Twitter app, and then there were a lot of people who were saying they felt it just seconds ago. There was one resident in this neighborhood who ran up to our news van shortly after that and asked us if we felt it. He seemed okay and pretty lighthearted about it. But certainly when we were sitting in the van, one of the thoughts that crossed my mind was the situation here with the landslide. Now we know that what's happening here is called a creep, and that shift is actually very slow. So I didn't think it was connected, but I did just reach out to the mayor, who we'd interviewed right here just a few moments before the earthquake, to ask if they are looking into whether that earthquake could have an impact on an already very delicate situation here. You can see the pipes here that are above ground. They're really trying to monitor and mitigate a situation that's already caused homes in the area to experience significant damage. There's, I believe, 2 red tag homes in the neighborhood. We were inside someone else's home that had cracks in the ceiling and in the garage. So definitely something to keep an eye on.
Absolutely, Annabelle. What a tense and anxious moment for all of those residents living there in such a vulnerable area. Thank you so much for that live report, and it says so much. All of us were sort of thinking, was that an earthquake? Because, everywhere, everyone's feeling it differently. And Shayla Jarnage, she's live in Calabasas with more. And Shayla, I have to ask, did you feel it?
Right, it is the million-dollar question. I was actually in my car on the 101, didn't feel it personally, but I've already spoken to several people out here who have. We just spoke to one resident moments ago. He said he lives in Lost Hills. He not only felt the quake, he said it was very significant. Several items in his apartment broke, but he said it was a really quick shake that moved out in about 5 to 10 seconds. Now, you can see out here in Calabasas, it is pretty calm out here this afternoon. No damage that we've seen, but just farther up the 101, Agora Hills, I spoke to some residents that described a prolonged rolling shake. They said it was the most significant earthquake they've felt since living in the area. Some folks even say they ran out of their homes with their animals because that quake was so intense. Again, just got to the scene in Calabasas. Not much out here.
All right, we've lost Shayla's signal there, but fortunately, okay, I think we got you back. But Shayla, thank you very much for joining us there from Calabasas, pretty close to the epicenter there, just over the hill from Malibu. Well, that 4.5 earthquake is considered a light quake, and worldwide we get about 10,000 every year. Hard to believe that. It released energy equivalent to 33,000 pounds of explosives.
And of course, today's earthquake is a really good reminder. Now is the time to prepare for a bigger one. Find all the information you need about how to get ready at abc7.com/preparesocal.
Other news now, crowds are lining up outside Crypto.com Arena to see the just unveiled statue of Kobe Bryant. Air 7 over the scene as those fans looked up at the bronze statue, 19 feet high. Eyewitness News reporter Christian Cordero is live in downtown LA with reaction from fans getting their first look at the towering monument to the Laker legend. Christian?
Well, Ellen, as you know, Kobe is already among the greats, right? But a statue here in Star Plaza is one more thing that makes it official. With a taped finger and a wrapped knee as a testament to the battle, a victorious Kobe Bryant now stands 19 feet tall in downtown Los Angeles.
Details are amazing. It's kind of impressive. Like that night in January 2006, I remember getting to see the stat line, and I looked at it, I saw I thought it was a 61.
Away from Elgin Baylor's Laker record.
It was 81, the second most ever in the NBA. It's among the dozens of career milestones, the essence of which in this town is required to get your likeness in bronze, like the many greats now forever alongside him. But there's something else about Kobe, something that gets hundreds of people to line up on a Friday morning to see his statue, something that got David to fly here from Indiana.
I almost cried a little bit because I love Kobe. I even named my son Kobe.
Something that got Ashley to, just as impressively, drive up from Orange County.
I'm an artist, and so his mentality, the Mamba mentality, really instilled that in me from a young age.
Few generational talents are immortalized like this. None have made a bigger impact on Mo Freeman.
That excellence, right? That Mamba mentality of like striving to be the best version of yourself, but also winning, you know?
He does know. This photo was taken February 25th, 2000 in the Staples Center. Mo was battling stage 3 leukemia at 13 years old. This was his make-a-wish. He returned today, like so many others, to say thanks. One more thing that I love about this vantage point on a local level is it kind of shows the dichotomy of LA. Right across the street from us is that high rise. You remember we talked about earlier this week that people trespassed onto it to cover it with graffiti. It's kind of one of those why can't we have nice things kind of a moments, right? Well, I can tell you, at the risk of jinxing it, standing down here where we are right now, the tone is nothing but respect. Kobe loved this city. It's pretty clear the city loves him back. We're live in downtown LA. I'm Christiane Cordero, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Absolutely, Christiane. Thank you very much for that live report and putting things in perspective. Well, stay with us. We'll be right back.